Well, what I'm doing here, folks, is I'm just gonna gather up a bunch of birch bark, strip off a bunch, and put it out in the sun to dry, and then I'll have a bunch of really good fire starter all cached away for the winter time when I'm in here hunting and trapping. Now, birch bark was always the go-to fire starter for everybody through the pioneer days, and then with the invention of newspaper, people graduated over to that just for the convenience and simplicity. Myself included. I grew up using newspaper to start all my fires. But nowadays, I don't know if there's a change in the paper or they put too much ink or all the colored ink or what it is, but it just makes lousy fire starter. So I've gone back to using the birch bark. And even when you collect it and it's damp, it still ignites. It just has some sort of natural oils in it that are flammable, even when wet, and it's just phenomenal fire starter. I just collect a bunch of it. I don't take it off of the live trees at all. There's plenty of it laying around, as you can see here. And even stuff that has been laying around for years and years and years is still phenomenal fire starter. The stuff, you can peel it right off, and even when it's damp, it'll light with a match, and it just burns thoroughly. In the newspaper these days, it'll ignite real fast, and then it just peters out. There's like no life to the flame at all. So I've gone back to using the birch bark, and I'm going to continue to do so. A lot of people just seem to have forgotten about it. But you know, you're in a situation you got to light a fire, even if it's pouring rain and the stuff is wet. It'll still ignite with a match, and that's a good thing to know. You know, although it's not absolutely necessary, when I'm out gathering the birch bark, I take a razor knife like this with the hook blade, and that way I can just dive right into the birch bark and get a good peel on it real easy. Harvesting birch bark is just another one of my chores that I enjoy, and having an enthusiastic partner on the job can make it all the more enjoyable. Of course, he's got to make a game out of it. He's always got to imitate everything I do. Like father, like son. Doing a good job, Frankie. Good job.
Oh, he's a good boy. Yeah, he's a good boy.
So I got a nice pile of birch bark here. I'll cover it up tonight with that tarp, and then if it's sunny tomorrow, I'm just going to let it bake in the sun, because a lot of this is really damp. That's real damp there. I'll get the moisture evaporated off of it, and then I'm going to put it in a trash can and cover it up. Then I'll have a bunch of nice fire starter ready for me in the winter. Well, that was fun, with a little assistance from Frankie. So I let all the bark get thoroughly dried out in the sun, and I got a whole barrel full of nice dry fire starter all cached away, and we're well prepared for winter. See, I want to show you the difference here. Here's a piece of newspaper here, and sure, it ignites right away. It flares up real nice, but there's no life to the flame. As you can see, it just peters out real quick and leaves a lot of ash behind. I'll fire up a piece of birch bark.
I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it's doing a lot of snap, crackle, and popping. It sounds like someone's frying a piece of bacon. Just the natural oils in the birch bark. See, it's going to burn much longer than that newspaper. See, it burns a lot longer than the newspaper, so it has a much better effect at igniting the kindling. It's curling itself up like a piece of bacon. It has a natural oil in the bark that is flammable. It's just a great fire starter.
Now it's been over 1.5 minutes, closing in on 2 minutes, and that single piece of birch bark is still burning. That sheet of newspaper stayed lit for about 10 seconds. So with a longer flame like this, has a much better effect at igniting kindling. I mean, look at that thing. It curled itself up and it's still burning. That's phenomenal. You know, in the old days, this was just common knowledge. We learned how to provide for ourselves from our parents, and we taught our children, they taught their children, and so on. But then with the invention of all the modern conveniences, things to simplify life, people used the old methods less and less, so their children saw less and less of it. And then their children saw less and less of it, and then their children saw none of it. A lot of people just don't know how to provide for themselves like they used to. My Backwoods Logic Series has started out with fire and ice, and those are two things you really need to sustain life. Being able to keep your food cold and heat your home and heat your water and cook your food and things like that in a non-traditional method without being dependent on the grid, well, that's just good backwoods logic. Yes, sir.